Gentlemen, welcome to my idea for the Odyssey 3.14 business model disruption. I've picked up the industry of art for aid. The basic concept here is that art generated in developing countries is sold in developed countries in order to generate employment and aid for the developing countries. Now let's look at the current business model uh, in this domain. Let's take an example. Misha is a local artist in sub-Saharan Africa. He creates products that he sells to local tourist shops or to NGOs and governments. The products bought by NGOs and governments are then sent through a very expensive supply chain to selected NGOs who distribute this to niche retailers in developed countries, which are then sold to end customers. The basic problems here are Miche gets paid almost nothing for his products. Okay, the government or the NGOs bear all the risks for the retail and supply chain. There are very few retailers, very few niche retailers who actually want to sell these products. There are very few customers who are reached, very few customers who are aware, and very few customers who actually want or trust this kind of products, right? And there is absolutely no transparency in this whole value chain. So, what does the value proposition look like? Low price for the artist, very difficult access to NGOs or governments for the artist. The distribution in markets is abysmal. The retailers in the market are very few and have no commercial incentive to do so. The end customer confidence is low, and the end customer reach is also low. Overall, this is a market or a business that is ready and ripe for disruption, right? What does this mean for the profit equation? Well, there are not enough artists or customers who are reached. Most of the cost is on supply chain or the authentication of the true origins of the products and maintaining trust. The governments are actually not the best people to run businesses. We all know that. Neither are NGOs, right? The end objective of actually providing aid is not being met because even though in theory the idea is very good, in practical terms the aid being raised is very little, and most of the money that is being raised goes off to the middle agents. The products that are designed are actually not for any specific need apart from providing the satisfaction of making a donation. So hence they're a tad bit harder to sell because there are only so many coasters or tea mugs or lampshades that one customer might need. And this kind of indirect aid doesn't give the same kind of customer satisfaction that direct donations do because the customer cannot really see the impact of the aid that they're providing. Okay, so what is my solution to this? I would like to bring to table what I call as product provenance. Right, this is a blockchain solution that will track and authenticate every step of the value chain that we previously discussed. Right, don't worry about technicalities. All you need to know is that everybody on the product provenance system can be trusted. Effectively, the product provenance allows the artist to create a QR code or a barcode, which is then used to store the entire story of the value chain of every product. We'll talk more about this. Product provenance takes up the responsibility of trust away from NGOs and um, governments and gives it to the entire distribution network. Right? Remember, it's an ecosystem that can be supported by international or organizations or governmental organizations. It's an ecosystem. It allows every product made to have an authenticated story. Things like who made it, when it was made, where it comes from, when it entered your country. All of these details are stored in a tamper-proof environment. It allows the customer. Next, it allows the customer to see how much of the price they're paying is going to which party of the value chain. They really want the money to go to the producer, but they see that a lot of the money is going to transportation, distribution, and to the retailer. So they are aware and they trust it. Finally, my recommendation is for 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 there to be for product partners to allow for customers to pay more than the indicated price on the label. I will explain this in more detail. Basically, if the price of products is $10 and you know that only 10% of it is actually going to the producer to whom the aid is directed to, you can choose to pay $15 for the same product and direct all the entire five additional dollars to the producer or to any one of the intermediate steps. We'll talk more about this on the next slide. So let's revisit the the value chain. Basically, Miche creates a artisan product, uses product provenance to create a QR code, and goes to any NGO or government official. The NGO or the government official basically scan their ID card, take a photo of the product, use the QR code, and give an undertaking saying that this product was created in a given specific geospatial location that is authenticated by the mobile phone or the device geospatial location. So you now are sure where it belongs. Then the same QR code is carried over when it is taken to a distributor. The distributor scans the QR code and accepts the responsibility of taking the product from one geospatial location to the other geospatial location. When it reaches the retailer accepts the responsibility of taking the product from the distributor to the end customers. When it finally reaches the end customers, the customers can actually just scan this QR code and view the entire life history of every product. And at each stage, the respective given parties take the ownership of ensuring that these products are coming from where they are intended to be coming from. The end customer can then see the price of the product, decide to pay more for it, and decide where that additional amount goes, whether to Miche or to the NGO, government officials, or even to the retailer. It is the choice of the end customer. Finally, when the end customer probably has no need for the product anymore, they can decide to sell it on the secondary market. People in the secondary market can then reutilize this whole product provenance and pay directly to Miche or to the NGOs or to the end customer or any distribution of the same. That basically means that we have successfully disrupted a business model. What does it mean in terms of benefits? Miche can get paid more. Uh, any party on the value chain apart from Miche can also get paid more. This opens the business to all distributors and retailers, not just NGOs and governments. It shows trust and transparency. It allows the customers to develop a stronger emotional connect. It opens up a whole new secondary market which Miche can benefit from, and it significantly increases the willingness to pay of customers. This is the new value proposition. Obviously, the price artist can get is higher, the confidence is higher, the distribution of distributors and retailers are more, the end customer confidence and reach are more, and there is a whole new secondary market. So, all in all, a great value proposition. What does this mean for the profit equation? More customers means more revenue. More revenue. More distributors and suppliers means more inventory, more revenue, lesser costs. Secondary market means more revenue. Higher customer emotional connect means more revenue. The ability to pay more for a product than a suggested price means more revenue. So that brings us to the end of my presentation. Just to summarize, as I suggested, the product provenance does two things. Gives every product an authentic, unalterable story which a customer can read. It suggests the customer a minimum selling price. The customer can then choose to pay more for the product than the minimum selling price. The differential between what the customer is willing to pay and the minimum selling price can then be directed to any party in the value chain. With that, thank you so much and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding this portal. Bye bye.